This is the AdHero Podcast, the podcast that reveals marketing tips, trends, and techniques by industry experts, insiders, and influencers. For years, AdSymble has helped businesses develop and launch campaigns to amplify their message, establish authority, and earn their lion's share of the market. This podcast will help you design and supercharge your plan to make an impact with valuable lessons you can apply in your business today. To get more information or start now, visit adsymbol.com. That's AdSemble.com. Let's get started.
Welcome to the AdHero Podcast. Right here on AdSymble. My name is Gio Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri.
And we're your personal ad heroes.
We're excited to be back for another episode here in the Watchtower Studios, AdHero Podcast Watchtower Studios. Gino, I got a quick question for you. What's been going on in your life lately?
Summertime and being cramped up here in the Watchtower.
Summertime in the living beast.
No, I can't go anywhere. I have nowhere to go. So I'm just been here. So after today, I'm going to take like a little sabbatical.
Okay. Well, you know, you bring up a really good point. And that is, do you feel people are motivated this time of year, 2022, to get back out and travel? Go some for the last couple of years, people have been on lockdown. You know, there's been pandemic and mass hysteria around all that, but now it feels like people are like kind of itching to like get out of their homes and like travel. Are you?
100%, 100%, and I can back that up with at the time of this recording with the attendance going back up at the San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, San Diego Comic-Con is back. Let's dive into that. What do we know about some of the numbers of the San Diego Comic-Con?
Well, this is actually coming from the actual San Diego Comic or San Diego.org. It turns out in the 4-day show, they were estimated anywhere between 50 to 90,000 at the actual attendance of 2019, which was their last live appearance because they had online appearances during the pandemic. Or I shouldn't say appearances, shows. Okay. 130,000.
Wait, so 90,000, it's going to go up. They're expecting 130,000.
No. It was 130,000 2019. They're expecting anywhere between 50 to 90,000.
Okay, so a little bit down, but not too bad.
Right.
Probably still a little bit of that, you know, not sure if it's safe to go out in the open, maybe, perhaps. What do you think that's about?
I don't think that's at all. I think gas prices can actually take a effect into it.
Take the blame for some of that.
Yeah,
okay.
I think people's wages. You know, I mean, look, this isn't a cheap event. I know I think I've tried to go before. It's like hundreds of dollars.
Plus, if you don't live in the area, you got to get a hotel. There's
exactly.
Cost.
I mean,
you're probably going to want to dress up, do some cosplay. You got to invest in that.
Right. You know, you got to take on Sub-Zero at some point, you know, but lucky for us, Silicon Valley has its own Comic-Con.
I saw that.
And I've been once before and it was okay.
I saw that. Well, you know what? 2023 should be a big year for movies coming back, especially comic book movies. I think there's going to be quite a few exciting titles coming out. So we'll have to keep a pulse on that because we know you guys, the listening audience of the AdHero Podcast, loves when we give some little snippets and some like updates in the MCU, in the world of DC Comics, etc.
And I got a rundown of them right here. I mean, I got the new Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power trailer hit. Dungeons and Dragons is going to have a movie.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Now there's a Batgirl, and then of course the I Am Groot special coming out on Disney Plus.
Nice.
And then apparently, isn't
volume 3 of the Chris Pratt the
Star Trek?
No, not Star Trek. The MCU movie where plays the with Groot.
Yeah. Oh God, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't volume 3 coming out next year?
Yeah, it's going to come out next year. Okay. And then the by the time of this recording, we don't know the official word yet, but it looks to be that Henry Cavill will reprise his role as Superman in the upcoming movie, the one with The Rock Johnson. Oh my God, it just totally blanked my mind. And this is a new show. Yeah.
That is big news, actually. I actually have not even caught that. You see, Gino is always on top of these things. That's why I love working with you in the studio, man. You always know what's up. Also, Deadpool 3 should be coming out next year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I hope so, because I haven't heard a thing about that other than just talks. Black Adam, by the way, is the movie with Rock Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah,
yes.
so I'm really hoping that Henry Cavill makes his Superman reappearance once again.
Okay, good. Well, we have an exciting show today with Tom Geary. Guys, we got a real treat for you. Tom Geary is the creative director of a special agency called School of Thought. They specialize in highly super creative advertising campaigns. And he's going to come on the show in just a little bit here, give us a rundown of advertising opportunities that you can capitalize on in a recession. You run a small business, you're part of a small business team, or any size business for that matter. There are opportunities abound because, let's face it, everybody is still kind of in rebound mode from the pandemic, kind of trying to get back on their feet, move back forward again. And, well, Tom seems to think that now is the time to strike. And he's going to get into that in the B block. But before we do that, we have a massive update coming out of the world of Netflix, something else we love to talk about here. Gino, let's go into the A block and give the audience what they want. An update on Netflix.
Let's go in the A block. Okay, there's so many things happening with Netflix these days. They were expected to have 2.5 million new subscribers at the end of Q1. Turns out by the end of 2022, they're expected to lose 2 million subscribers. They've also, in this last quarter, Q3 alone, lost almost 1 million subscribers right there.
Wow.
There has been a third of their staff has been laid off. This is coming from TechCrunch as well as Glitch. 450 employees announced that they will be laid off, and they are trying, and I think we discussed this before on the show, with having to run ads, and they've been kind of testing out in test markets here for running ads. But now they are coming out, and they've partnered up with Microsoft to run ads, who Microsoft has gotten into the ad game. And that was news to me, who last year did about $2 billion worth in ads, or actually brought in with ads. I didn't even know that.
I did not know that either.
But they also, because Netflix has always had a big thing with their users sharing passwords, that now they will be introducing a new product where you can pay anywhere. I think it's around $3, and you can extend to have someone else be on your account as what they call a sub account, and they could pretty much have all the same experiences that you're having. You're just adding other people on so that Netflix can have people stop sharing the password and people actually having revenue come in. But the one thing I do want to know about that is that, okay, if you're having to show ads, and if you're paying for a top tier that you don't have ads, will that affect this subgroup of user bases? And because they're paying so little, I just wonder if they're going to actually have more brunt of the ads, because for me, that would be more logical and maybe even more fair, because they're paying such a low amount.
That's interesting. Yeah. A couple things to unpack there. First of all, Reed Hastings, now co-CEO of Netflix. I believe he's still co-CEO. Ted Sarandos is the other CEO of Netflix. Famously always said, we will never have ads in Netflix. Well, sorry folks to say this, but never say never, because inevitably your hand is either forced to do it or you had to make a decision to do it because you just lost 2 million subs. Let's also talk about this whole password sharing thing. Listen, everybody that I'm aware of, I'm not going to name drop and implicate anybody here, present company included, myself mostly. Everybody shares passwords. All right. I share passwords with my family members for a whole bunch of products and services, not exclusive to streaming services. But the fact of the matter is, people do it. So Netflix is accepting of that, and they're saying, listen, people are going to do it anyways. We can't really stop it. So let's try to monetize it and offer this sub-tier level subscription. But to Gino's point, yeah, what does that mean? If I'm only paying... Now, correct me, Gino, you know about Hulu, right? Hulu has like a subscription tier where they still show ads, but it's limited. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So maybe this is going to be like that, potentially?
Yeah, and they have an ad at the beginning and ad at the end, and they tell you up front that there's going to be an ad, and then there's a timer on it as well, which I believe Netflix will also have.
I think that's probably the route they're going to adopt. I don't have issue with it. I mean, it is what it is. There are people out there that are like, hey, listen, if I can save $5 or $6 extra per month, go ahead and show me an ad. Are you in that camp, Gino?
I'm okay with it. I mean, look, this was also brought up on another podcast, but we have to kind of get out of this mentality that everything is free on the internet. There is this kind of, what do you call it? Entitlement that like a lot of people just have, because it's on the net, like, why should I be charged for that? And it's like, hey, look, you're only paying a couple of bucks. Like, I've had so many people try to call me up and get my Netflix password. Actually, it's not even my Netflix. It's my father's Netflix, and I don't even watch it. So it's like, why should I give you, granted you're a friend, but why should I give you my family's Netflix password? Just go and pay it yourself. It's $10, right?
Yeah. I see your point. I totally agree with that 100%. So this will be interesting to know, or I should say to study the effects. Is Netflix going to lose more subscribers as a result of this? Will they gain some subs, right?
I think they're going to definitely.
I think they'll gain some subs for people that are like, fine, I didn't want to spring for the full $10 a month, but I'll pay the $3 a month to be on my family account, and you guys can show me some ads, something to that effect, right?
Right.
And then theoretically, the revenue will go up because of the new subs, as well as the ad revenue that they will make. So will this be the last time you hear of them losing such a large amount of their subscribers? I think so. I think this will help right the ship a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. But listen, I also want to comment that I think Netflix has potentially another problem on their hands. And Gino, you and I were discussing this the other day. Their content strategy needs to be adjusted.
That's right.
They are famous for just releasing the entire season of a show with the concept in mind that someone's going to sit down and just binge watch 24 hours of television so they can watch all 15 episodes or 8 episodes or 10 episodes, right?
Right.
Whereas Disney Plus and Hulu and these other apps, streaming services, when they drop a brand new show like Mandalorian, they make you wait a week at a time to see each episode. And what effect does that create, Gino?
The binge watching effect?
No, the water cooler effect.
Oh, the water cooler effect. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. The water cooler effect where you per week can have conversations with people at an office, at school, and what have you, just like you could, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s about shows, so, and you would wait until the next week until the newest show comes out, but.
The anticipation, the build
up,
that's right? And then you're inevitably maybe talking about it on social media, and it's gaining more interest and more excitement, and more people maybe even sign up for your service as a result of that. Because I for one, when everybody was talking about Game of Thrones, I didn't have HBO at that time, but everyone was like, "Oh my God, you got to see Game of Thrones," and it was all over my social, it was all over Instagram, and as a result of that, I went and signed up for a damn HBO account because I'm like, I felt like I was missing out. Okay. So I think Netflix has to adjust their strategy, change their strategy, and instead of just dropping all 8 or 9 episodes at once, spread it out. Gino, what do you think about that? Should they do that?
Yeah, I think they should. If you if we're going by just the facts here, when you look at the original content on something like a Rotten Tomatoes, for example, and we've discussed this on the show before, it's very low ratings from the critics and even the audience. I mean, unless it's like Stranger Things, a lot of their other content just doesn't get that high of regards.
Right.
It's the back catalog. It's the old shows. It's the old movies or new movies that come out that are not Netflix related. And they've lost some content like Friends. Friends is now over at HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken. Strangely enough, you can now find it on Nick at Night too, which is
that really
odd. Yeah. I remember when Nick at Night was like in old people's kind of thing back in the 80s when it first came out. So they have a huge problem on their hands. Plus, a lot of their woke material is just not the business. People aren't subscribing to it. And they have a lot it seems to me, to clean up. This is not over anytime soon.
Right. So
we'll see what happens by the end of this year. And that would be very interesting to see if they recover or not, because, it's like one of those internet sites like MySpace back in the day. We thought MySpace was the king of all websites and it'll never go under. Well, you know what? Corporations can go under despite what some people think.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this in closing about this particular subject matter. I'm going to say that I agree with all the talking points you made, and I'm just curious. We're growing the listenership here on the AdHero podcast. I would really love to hear from our listening audience. Are you guys fans of Netflix dropping the entire season, like the status quo? Don't change a thing. I like to be able to sit down and just go through and blaze through an entire weekend and watch 12 episodes. Or would you like to see them change it to more like the Disney Plus strategy where they drip out one episode per week? Get on our socials. Let us know what you guys think. All right. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, all these different places at AdSemble. That's the parent company that the AdHero podcast is the umbrella for. Get on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you guys think. We'll read your comments on a future broadcast. And but I'm sold. I think they should drip it out week by week. That's my personal vote.
And speaking of AdSemble, I believe we have an update of a MJO Snaps, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it.
MJO Snaps. So for you guys that don't know, I have been live streaming now on Twitch. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary live streaming on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/MJO Snaps. Thank you. I'll take a virtual bow here. Twitch.tv/MJO Snaps. We'll put that in the show notes. It's a really fun platform. It's really engaging. I get an opportunity to come on the stream and interact with the viewing audience as I cover various topics, play video games, do different things. Sometimes we talk about the podcast, coincidentally enough. It's an extension of the AdSemble universe and all the different media products we have here. But the update I want to give you guys is, because this is a marketing advertising podcast, Twitch just did a major update to their advertising manager. They call it Ad Manager. It's inside the Twitch settings. So for those of you guys who don't know, when you tune on the Twitch stream and you're watching someone do live content, they will typically play ads at the very beginning and then every like 15 or 30 minutes. You used to not be able to control that. Me as the creator, me as the person that's live streaming, I had no previous control over that. The new update is I now have control over that. And so the idea being is if I want to like overload my show with ads and make more money, I could do that. But of course, most people find ads annoying, as you will hear Tom speak on in just a little bit in the B block. So instead, I went the opposite direction. I actually turned my ads volume all the way down because I want you guys to be able to just enjoy the stream, enjoy the broadcast, and have a good time hanging out. But here's the real reason why I did that. Not only exclusively for you guys to have a good viewing experience, Twitch is not paying very much money for these ads to me as the creator, which I find very hilarious because I'm the one putting in all the legwork to make the broadcast interesting. And they're giving me like a few pennies every time one of these ads appear. All right. So I just find it very interesting that, yeah, they unlocked this ads manager, but for the creators putting in all the hours, and Gino, you've watched some of the streams, you see how hard, I have to bring the energy and keep talking the whole way through while I'm playing a game or just talking to the camera. I mean, do you think the creators on Twitch should be earning a lot more money for the ads that they show?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I mean, because you're having the experience of viewing the
Right.
live stream,
Right.
and I'm having the experience of being the person who's putting the live stream on, like the talent, right? So I'm not making very much money off the ads, a few pennies every time they show it. Your viewing experience is being interrupted when they just cut away and show. Would you see the other night like a Toyota ad or something like that?
Well, it was the beginning of the show.
Ad? Okay,
I seen a Dunkin' Donuts and
interesting.
What else was there? Oh, I think there was like a movie trailer,
right?
Which was, I thought, kind of cool. It's like, well,
Okay.
That's cool. You got a movie trailer going on there.
Oh, so you thought it actually kind of upped the value of my show?
I think so.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
but at least it's one. But it only comes out on the mobile. When I go to the desktop,
Okay.
when I go to like an Android TV like we have here in the studio, commercials don't show up.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even realize that. Well, maybe that's one of the new updates that rolled out. Anyways, real fun platform. I just wanted to give that quick update because it's advertising related. Okay. And we like to talk about all things marketing and advertising here at the AdHero podcast. So I thought that was relevant. But yeah, I'm live on Twitch Mondays and Thursdays, 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, twitch.tv/MJOSnaps. Come hang out, come say hello, come say that you are a fan of the AdHero podcast, and I'll give you a shout out on air. All right, that about wraps it up for the A block. Gino, do you want to take it away and give us a transition here to the B block?
Yeah, sure. Just remember to follow us online at AdSymbol, and then try to find us on YouTube as well under AdSymbol. And you can also find us on Rumble as we have plenty of new content on there. Just look under the AdHero podcast. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the AdHero podcast. Tom is the founder and director at School of Thought, an agency which specializes in creating campaigns that focus on sustainable social and environmental practices and foster meaningful connections between consumers and brands. Tom is an expert in advertising and a thought leader on how the marketing world needs to embrace current social movements in order to stay relevant and viable. Tom, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Nice to be here. Try saying that 3 times quickly, huh? That was a mouthful.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. And just to maybe bring it down a level so people can kind of wrap their head around exactly what all that means. Could you give our listening audience an example of a campaign that you guys have recently worked on that is a sustainable social environmental practice type campaign?
Sure. So, we started out as just a general creative agency, but 6 or 7 years ago, we started doing work in diversity and inclusion and sustainability. And it basically made us feel a lot better. We enjoyed the wins and the losses were not as painful, And so as an example, California is trying to get to carbon neutral by 2045. So in order for that to happen, everything's got to go the right way. People have to move to EVs. Appliances need to be more electric, reduce the gas appliances and so forth. So we're trying to make people think about energy, and it's hard. Most people don't think about energy except for cold beer and hot showers. And
Right.
so what we're trying to do is make these things relevant and accessible to people. So we did a campaign called The Switch Is On that started 2 or 3 years ago about moving people to electric. And it's hard, California, it's not all Berkeley and San Francisco, Orange County is super conservative. So you got to climate change isn't going to do it. You've got to talk to people about things that matter to them. So that's what we're doing, and we've made a huge difference. Something like 45% awareness in 2 years.
Can just as a quick follow up to that, behind the scenes, who's funding that campaign? Is it the local government? Is it Washington D.C. with a federal grant? Like how does that campaign come together in terms of like your guys' customer base and stuff like that?
Well, basically, we started searching among the couch cushions, for some change. No, it's super modestly funded. There are campaigns, even California is so expensive for media. There are campaigns that are similar that spend $20-30 million. This was under $1 million. And it's funded by a coalition called the Building Decarbonization Coalition, which is another mouthful. Apparently, everything that I do requires 2 lungfuls to say. But the coalition is made up of exactly as you said, Matthew. It's like cities, that are trying to kind of do things collectively. Small things called CCAs, which is kind of like local energy cooperatives. Like in the Bay Area, there's Marine Clean Power and East Bay Community Energy. And they kind of handle the last mile of electricity to consumers. And then some utilities are in, some manufacturers are in. It's just a coalition of people who are all trying to kind of help, make some progress to hopefully get us on track or keep us on track to being carbon neutral.
That's great. You said it was a $2 million campaign? That's huge.
No, it was under $1 million.
Oh, under $1 million. Excuse me.
Yeah,
okay, wow.
For the state of California, 38 million people. It's not, it's very, very hard, and some of the most expensive media places in the country, media areas and regions in the country. So
absolutely,
we had to be super scrappy.
Yeah.
And also, I would say, not to cut you off, but you've got to have twice the impact, right? If you've got like precious impressions, you've got to make sure they stick, and that's what we get out of bed for. It's like make it matter. Make people care. If you're not making people care, give it up. You're wasting your time and energy.
Gino, if I may, just because I think this is really poignant for our listening audience to understand, like Tom's specific expertise here, with a challenge that big of carbon neutrality and such a very, very tight budget, how does your guys' company kind of go about that process of thinking about the right message that's really going to drive home that lasting impact?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, we come up with dozens, hundreds of ideas, and then we kind of run it through the filter of, is it going to work for the audience? Is it going to be arresting? Is it going to stop people in their tracks? And will it resonate with the audience? And, in California, as I said, it's not one state, it's like 6 of them. We just happen to be cobbled together. So we've got all these political differences. We have all these regional differences. I'm in apparently the hottest place on the, outside the sun right now in Palm Springs, versus, I could go somewhere else in California. It's probably 40 degrees right now. So all these so many differences, and you've got to figure out what's going to work. And so we have to kind of tailor the campaigns for each region. You can't talk to Orange County about climate change. That's a non-starter. But you can you can talk to them about, it's pretty cool to have a car that has a refueling station right at your house. You're never going to be late. You're never going to be late for an errand if your car is already filled up and ready to go, which is the case with any EV. So, and we did it in a funny way, and it was funny and it was unexpected. We did a shtick about this woman who woke up late, as we all have, runs down the stairs, grabs her keys, goes to the car is empty, fuel station, forgot her wallet, and then versus the guy with the EV who's just kind of like, you're crazy, this is so chill because I've got an EV and I get to just roll out and go. So you can make it fun, make it funny, make it accessible, and you make a good point at the same time. And it's that sort of dynamic that we kind of try to figure out. And it just takes, I wish I could hit F7 on the keyboard and everything would come together, but it just takes a lot of work.
Tom, kind of adding to that, and then throwing in the latest with economics. I want to know if American companies, in your opinion, and even facts on the with your agency, if you're starting to see a dip in advertising. We saw today at the time of this recording that American companies, especially those in the media and the online industry, reporting today that the ad spends down in 2022, especially as compared to quarter number 2, and that they didn't meet their numbers. So going forward in the rest of the year, do you see companies maybe spending less?
Well, I know for one, Gino, we're folding the tent. We're going to build a bunker. I'm kidding. No, it's
that's why you're holed up down in Palm Springs.
Wonder.
No, exactly.
Makes sense. Compound.
Exactly. I wanted to go somewhere cool too. No, my sense of timing is epic. We opened our doors in 2009, and so I've kind of I know how this song goes. What's hard for people to understand is when the volume of impressions, when advertising goes down, it basically means that the clutter is reduced, that there is more calm in the environment. It's actually an amazing opportunity for companies with kind of visionary leaders to stand out. It's a great opportunity. You don't want to go toe to toe with Geico. They spend $1 billion a year. When Geico is owning everything in all media out there, you want to try to make an impression when it's an easier environment. So it's actually a great time for companies to go the other direction. I mean, the other thing is it's hard to get people to believe that sometimes. Tons and tons of MBA case studies that support it, but there are all sorts of other reasons to do it too. I mean, we've got so many clients, so many companies are, everyone wants the best and the brightest, right? Google, everybody wants a brilliant kid out of school. Well, how are you going to stand out if you're not talking about your culture, your people, you're making an impression on, on social impact, D&I, diversity and inclusion, all these things that matter to people. If you just kind of fold up your tent and go quiet, the consequences are going to be extraordinary and painful and long lasting, and your competitors are going to eat your lunch.
Yeah, if I may, it almost sounds like it's reverse psychology thinking, right? It's like when everything's, to your point, when everything's down, that should be the time that intelligent companies double down on their advertising, because they could effectively make their dollars stretch for twice as much, because it's not as crowded in the space. They can maybe get in there and capture some really valuable impressions and have their message heard, because other people are just scared about maybe a possible the recession or whatever, right? So is that more or less?
No, that's exactly right. And
okay.
Branding is a long-term play, right? You don't flip a light switch and you're done. Right. It's a long-term investment, and it's with, a lot of value to it. And consistency is super important. But a lot of the time I think about parallels to investing, something that I started way too late, but people want to have a good return. Well, in order to do that, most people have a diversified portfolio. You got to do the same thing with your communications. Go with some safe stuff, go with some riskier stuff, and go with a few flyers. Take some risks. And
okay.
we've had initiatives for clients. We did something for Cisco that got 2 million impressions that cost almost nothing. Wow. And it was because there was somebody who was willing to take a risk. So you don't stop investing in a downturn. You actually, if you're smart, you've been investing all along, and you continue to invest, and you're buying on the dips, and things will come back. So, the ones who are not reactive are, generally speaking, going to be the companies that will do better in the long run.
And with that investment diversification, metaphor there, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, how's your Dogecoin doing?
I went all in. My son, we're rolling coins for my son's college career, college education, but it's cool. Yeah, the JC is looking really good, and go Laney.
We share that opinion about being in it for the long haul. We are known for our billboard advertising. It's our bread and butter. And we always advocate that the longer a client can stick with a program, the exponential ROI that they're going to see, because the message has an opportunity to be out there for a greater amount of time, saturating the community, and so many people seeing it time and again to really drive home the message. What would you have you had any clients come to you in your time of running the School of Thought that maybe Gino and I were just curious if billboard advertising was on the radar, or if it was not, were they did they have an opinion about it? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
All the time.
Okay. Oh, cool.
No, the challenge with advertising is it's a little like getting dressed. Everybody is pretty sure they have a good sense of what's involved, and as opposed to, say, AI. With I'm my background is a creative director, but pretty early on I realized, especially when we were starting the School of Thought, we started as a creative boutique, and I knew we could nail the messaging. I'm totally confident in that. But it is just as important to think about where the message plays. And to do that, you just have to be completely dispassionate and almost very strategic, and kind of use the ears more than the mouth. And so what we have a media director who's amazing, and they come up with solutions that are really thoughtful, and different media have different strengths and weaknesses. You can't tell an amazing story in a billboard, but I can stop you in your tracks unquestionably. Literally, I have had billboards where we had somebody from Google take a stop at the airport, take a photo of it, and send it to the marketing director saying, "This thing stopped me in my tracks. Amazing ad, great work." When was the last time anybody did that for a banner ad? It's just not. It's never going to work. Now, you can't tell a charming story. You can't tell a complicated, long form story that has nuances. You can't necessarily, there are limitations to all these things, but different media have different strengths. And for stopping power and branding, one would be crazy not to consider out of home.
Now, you mentioned creative boutique and come up with the messaging. Now, do you also have clients that come to you, or is it just everything's in-house and work with companies that maybe have like-minded visions of School of Thought?
I didn't quite get so we just work for third-party clients, Gino. So, lots of different cities, blue chip companies, you name it. We do lots of different work for lots of different clients.
If I may, Gino, is to maybe parrot what Gino was asking, because I think it's a great question. Sometimes we have brands come to our site and they're very, very, what's a polite way to say it? Very this is what I want the message to be. And internally we go, that's a terrible message. That's never going to work on a billboard.
Yeah.
Or they give us the design, and the design is overcrowded, despite the fact that we have endless amounts of information on our site that says keep your message simple. Cars could be driving by really fast, or people have, like you said, you can't tell the whole story here. It's just meant to kind of capture the imagination and get them maybe looking you up. So do you ever have situations, if I'm understanding your question correctly, where people come to you and, maybe they have an in-house director, oh, I've been doing this for years, I know what this brand needs, blah, blah, blah. And, and they're kind of fighting you a little bit on that, or
Sure.
does that
It definitely happens. No, it definitely happens. And I think the thing that I would say is one of the big benefits of having a consultant or a consultative agency, which is kind of how we operate, is we had the benefit of perspective. I had a client who used to talk about how they were inside their bubble. Great people, smart people inside the bubble. Matthew, you were talking about your sports. You're kind of an Oakland sports guy, right?
Big time. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you're in-house, when you're working for the company, it's effectively like you're working for the, insert a medium to bad sports team where, the Bills or something. And
oh, everyone from Buffalo just turned off this podcast.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Hank from Buffalo. No, but everybody's on the team and they have to believe, and they're kind of, they're close, they're inside, they're insular. They're all kind of doing this groupthink thing. And of course, in tech, they're getting stock options. So, cha-ching, there's that kind of psychological factor as well. They don't have the benefit of having any perspective, and the most important perspective is not their perspective. It is not my perspective. It is the perspective of the audience. And we're in a better position most often to go out there and get objectively a sense of what the audience thinks about the brand and the opportunities and the weaknesses and strengths than people who are inside the bubble. So yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, we're talking about media. There was a time we were doing some work for a fintech and with some kind of younger marketing directors. And we're like, hey, yeah, if you want to make a splash, because they were desperate to get people in San Francisco about 2 years ago, as is everyone, consider doing some out of home as well. Get and we've done amazing campaigns, and they're all mixed media, but we're saying in the mix, you should kick around doing some bus shelters and other things to get all these tech people walking around the city and so forth, really get in their face. And they looked at me or our team like, oh, that's crazy. We're a tech firm. We've got to do banner ads. Well, yeah, but when was the last time you clicked on a banner ad? Really? And while we are online here and while our lives are in fact online, it's good to counter program, right? Hit them when, don't do the usual thing, do the atypical thing. Do some things that are opposite of what your competitors are doing. If everybody is in this pond, fish somewhere else. Wow. And it makes perfect sense. And one thing that's driving me crazy, as an example of this follow the herd mentality, every tech firm in the freaking valley is using Open Sans, the typeface. Every single one. And it's like, you guys are killing me. There's like, you have so few opportunities to set yourself apart. The message has to be awesome. You have to stop people who don't want to look at your ad. You have to, grab them and make an impression. And then you're using the exact same typeface as every other company in the valley. That's not going to do it. Be distinctive, be arresting. And you have to be that way strategically as well.
Just to wrap it up here, Tom, we have it's one of our most popular episodes on the AdHero podcast archives. Why ad design matters with Eric Murray. He's someone that works for one of the outdoor companies back on the East Coast, but he over his career has, to echo your sentiments, has really honed in on the idea of how critical your ad design needs, the importance of it especially when you're doing an outdoor advertising campaign. So I think Gino and I would agree with everything you're saying, that having access to someone like yourself in the School of Thought, if someone's considering to do any kind of outdoor advertising campaign or any other kind of social impact campaign, they should reach out, get in touch with you, learn more. And why don't you tell our listening audience, where can they do that?
So this internet thing is apparently catching on, and so we've picked up a site at schoolofthought.com is a great way to go, and then our Instagram handle is School of Thought.
At School of Thought. Okay, perfect.
At
okay,
School
great.
of Thought.
So any other final thoughts you want to leave with our audience just about anything that we covered today?
No, I mean, everybody hates advertising, but there's an opportunity to come up with something that stops people in their tracks and actually overcomes, is such a good experience that people kind of are happy that they saw what you did, and that's the opportunity. And also, brands have an opportunity to do good. We've had a hell of a couple years, and so that's one of the things that we're really passionate about. Is we're working on a lot of campaigns that are bigger than ourselves and bigger than our brands and bigger than our partners, and that actually really help people. And so, you as a marketer, I think you've got an opportunity to do something, or you've got an opportunity to do something meaningful that you will be able to look back on and feel really proud about. And we love working with people who want to do the latter.
Excellent. Tom, thank you for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the program. Matthew, let's get your final thoughts on Tom Geary coming onto the show today.
Wow. He was like just dropping knowledge bombs. Boom, 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 one after the other. I really liked how he articulated the whole idea of the reverse psychology thinking process. In other words, when everybody else is laying low, that's when you should spring into action. When everybody else is taking time off from their advertising, you can actually double and triple your impression reach for spending the same amount of money because there's less people out there in the field doing advertising. And his examples of the billboard advertising, things he's done in the out-of-home space, is obviously touches near and dear to us. It's obviously something that we deeply believe in and have built our company around. And so I think merging the really unique creative with the outdoor advertising experience is crucial to success in that game. And Gino, that's something that you and I discuss frequently with customers, correct?
That's correct.
Do you have any other thoughts about Tom and, or rather what Tom was saying and his company, School of Thought?
I like the part where I asked about the content and the actual advertisement and how he actually thinks that more content should be out there because you want to engage the person and get them to stop in their tracks so that they look and see your ad, which makes sense. I mean, it's common sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody likes to be sold to, as Tom put it, and we couldn't agree more. So making the content almost be like a subtle advertisement without it being explicitly an advertisement, right? Kind of stop people, get them thinking. They do more research before they know it. They're interested in what you have to sell, and they're reaching out to you to find out pricing information, et cetera. So great stuff today from Tom. Thank you so much for being on the AdHero podcast. And I don't know, Gino, why don't we wrap it up? Where can people go from here?
Okay, so follow us online at AdSymbol on all our social media channels. You could catch us on at YouTube. Make sure to push that like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. to be notified about all future AdHero podcast premieres. And always don't forget to leave a comment or question below and let us know your thoughts. You can also check us out on Rumble. That's right. You can actually, that screen name is actually the AdHero Podcast. You catch us on there and make sure to get us in the Rumble by pushing that plus sign there. For inquiries and more information about outdoor advertising, visit our site, adsymbol.com. Find the AdHero Podcast on all major podcast platforms. Thank you for tuning in to the AdHero Podcast. My name is Gino Giovanni.
And I am Matthew Olivieri.
Signing out.